who are around this Ebola patient, and he's already infected 2 nurses who could not exhibit signs for another 21 days. And this fits into the pattern of bringing in the West African flights when other nations ban it. When they're putting Ebola patients in regular hospitals, and the CDC told one of the nurses, doesn't matter if you treated an Ebola patient and you've got fever, go ahead and fly, honey. This is part of a pattern of trying to let Ebola get a foothold in this country so the CDC, FEMA, and NORTHCOM can engage in a giant domestic power grab of medical tyranny. The feds have been buying millions of firearms, billions of bullets, and other forms of ammunition. They've been buying huge armored vehicles and deploying them in every city and digging in for biological catastrophe. I don't know if this Ebola event is that. What I do know is they're making preparations while telling us that we shouldn't be prepared. Just like they tell us we shouldn't own guns, even though the highest crime rates are in Chicago, New York, and D.C., where they have an abolition of the individual's right to keep and bear arms. Well, I personally am getting prepared. I saw them take the guns in Katrina and raid the houses of people that had their own solar power and were high and dry. I witnessed people a few years ago with the hurricane that hit the East Coast begging for FEMA to help them and getting zero help for week after week after week. And who could forget that famous sign that FEMA hung on their door saying, we're closed because of bad weather? I'm not sitting back waiting for the government to come protect me and take care of me. They've shown time and time again they have very bad intent and bad will against the people, not goodwill. They want crises to get out of control so they can pose as the saviors and sell their toxic vaccines and other poisons as a solution. Well, I'm personally getting my body ready with plenty of sunshine, organic food, purified water. Myself and my family are taking high-quality colloidal silver from InfoWarsLife.com, the silver bullet. I'm taking Survival Shield X2, true nascent iodine, that I believe is even more important than things like colloidal silver. Because if you don't have iodine in your body, if you're deficient in it, you will die. It's something you've got to absolutely have. So governments keep lowering and lowering the allowance they claim that we need. This needs to be looked into, ladies and gentlemen. We've been investigating it. It's why I'm doing everything I can to boost my body's natural defenses, and why I'm trying to warn people that they can't have confidence in the system. But at the same time, we shouldn't just sit here and wait for things to spiral out of control. None of this in the final equation is a silver bullet. Nothing is perfect. But just laying there and being horrified and watching mainstream media deceive us and scare us is not going to do a damn thing. We all need to get involved and do our own research. So don't stand behind us. Stand right beside us, looking at every angle of this, researching what's really happening, and understanding that there is clearly a cover-up going on with this Ebola situation. Now, I've said many times, I don't think this Ebola will probably really get out of hand here in the United States, even if the feds try everything they can to let it spread. But in Africa, the UN is saying it could be up to 1.4 million people or more that end up getting it. That is just an incredible number. What I'm really concerned about is the MRSA and the drug-resistant bacteria and the drug-immune TB that is spreading across this country, the flesh-eating bacteria. That's why it's essential for all of us going into this flu season to do our own research and find out that the H1N1 shot 5 years ago lowered people's immune systems and doubled their chances of getting the regular flu that was the big killer. That's why it's vital going into this winter that we all wash our hands and boost our immune systems however we can naturally. Well, that's it for this emergency Ebola news update alert. I'm Alex Jones signing off for this edition of InfoWars Nightly News. We don't have all the answers, but we know the feds and the globalists and the UN, the people caught doing secret, lethal medical testing all over the world, we know that that's a group that we are certainly going to keep an eye on. If you'd like to check out the entire family of InfoWarsLife.com nutraceutical supplement products, visit InfoWarsLife.com.
All right, that's Alex's special report. Join us right after the break. We're going to be talking to Anthony Gucciardi. Of course, he was in Dallas last weekend doing some research about the outbreak there. We're also going to be taking your calls at 1-800-259-9231. That's 800-259-9231. Give us a call if you've got questions for me or for Anthony. We'll be right back.
Silver has always been nature's very own antibiotic, and only one system allows you to generate an endless supply of natural silver solutions. SilverLungs.com. You'll find no wild claims or pseudoscience, just a lifetime of nano-sized pure silver solutions. The Silver Lungs generator allows you to make your own, so stop paying for silver solutions. The unique lung delivery system targets respiratory infections where other silver solutions simply cannot reach. See the Silver Lungs generator and lung delivery system at SilverLungs.com. That's SilverLungs.com.
Nanoparasites, termed viruses, infect the iron-poisoned population, for they require a host with iron to replicate. Parasites are propagated via the food and water supply and through vaccinations. Those born after 1945 have the vaccine parasite set to activate now. Due to unprecedented iron intake, officials prepare for pandemics because they know the vaccine parasites are activating on a mass scale. This is the extermination plan, people. For further information, go to unveilingthem.com. UNVEILING them.com. Unveilingthem.com.
What good is a Big Berkey water filter?
We get that question a lot here at BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com. And in a word, the answer is protection. Protection from water main breaks, E. coli contamination, environmental chemical spills, pesticide runoff, chlorine taste and smell, and all forms of fluoride. Plus, Big Berkey water filters are the original gravity water filter system and most trusted on the market for a reason. Tested by multiple independent NSF EPA certified labs, they are the gold standard in water purification. At only 1.7 cents a gallon, a single set of filters can last for 5 to 10 years. That means big savings. Big Berkey, the one that's powerful enough to purify stagnant pond water. Get a Big Berkey today at BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com. GCN listeners receive 5% off all ceramic filter systems. Visit our website or call 1-877-99-BERKEY. That's 877-99-BERKEY. Big Berkey Water Filters, for the love of clean water.
Hi folks, Alex Jones here with some important information. I want to tell you about Matt Redhawk and his team of patriots over at My Patriot Supply. Several years ago, Matt was sitting in his 2-bedroom apartment, frustrated with the direction this country was headed and the charlatans willing to sell us out for a quick buck. Deciding to take action, a company run by patriots for patriots was born. My Patriot Supply has never taken a loan or accepted outside funding. They now operate 2 distribution facilities and employ over 50 hardworking American men and women. It is rare to find companies who practice what they preach. And that's why I stock my pantry with high-quality storable foods from My Patriot Supply. Go to mypatriotsupply.com/Alex today for special offers on emergency food storage, or call their preparedness specialist at 866-229-0927. That's 866-229-0927. Do business with someone who shares your values. mypatriotsupply.com/Alex.
On September 30th, 2014, the first confirmed case of Ebola appeared in the U.S. This, combined with several other unidentified viruses, have some of our customers at 30dayfoodsupply.com concerned about the safety of our domestic food supply, resulting in a surge of our $99 90-serving kits. While we at 30dayfoodsupply.com have no expertise in epidemiology, we are aggressively purchasing raw materials that are currently in stock, and we intend to continue to sell our 30-day non-GMO emergency food supply for only $99 as long as we can. Oregon Trail Foods and 30dayfoodsupply.com keep prices low by buying directly from the producers in Oregon and then pass the savings on to you. Call 541-229-0010 and purchase our 30-day, 90-day serving emergency food supplies for only $99, and $10 ships your entire order to the lower 48. Visit our website at 30dayfoodsupply.com or call 541-229-0010. 541-229-0010.
Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. I'm David Knight, and joining me in the studio is Anthony Gucciardi. Now, just last weekend, Paul Joseph Watson was here from the UK, and he and Anthony went to Dallas to do some research. What'd you find there, Anthony?
Well, you know, the most interesting interaction I had when I went there, overall, besides the fact that every time we would go to lunch or dinner or breakfast or whatever, there would be a table of 15, 20 people freaking out about Ebola, was I actually have a doctor friend up there who runs an emergency care center, which is a booming thing in Texas now. And one of the nurses he was friends with, I was talking to, was telling me that she's totally freaking out because the medical community on the inside, the doctors, you know, in their cooler talk, as you would say, are freaking out because they're saying there's over 20 cases of probable Ebola in the United States every single day, and they're reporting it to the CDC, and the CDC is either ignoring it or just counting it. And now, that's not huge news until you tie it in to what Dr. Group told us when he came on the show a couple weeks ago. He had gone to one of the largest medical conferences in the United States. It was held in Las Vegas. Talked to a number of MDs, actually Border Patrol agents, everything like that, as we talked about it on air when he was here. But as a refresher, he said that there was 40 cases, according to these MDs, every single day of probable Ebola being reported to the CDC, and they were discounting it and not even hardly looking into it or not returning calls.
Well, look at what they did in the hospital. We subsequently learned, I mean, everybody was outraged that the guy, when he first went to the emergency room, was sent home for 2 days. But then we found out that when he came back 2 days later, and they set him aside and they did preliminary tests, they thought he had Ebola and everything. For 2 days, they were allowing these nurses, who subsequently 2 of them have caught it, to essentially treat him without any protective clothing.
Well, it gets a lot worse than that when you think about what Alex's report talked about. They're letting people out after 21 days of monitoring when they admit that some people could hold the virus for up to 56 days, or even the people that are cured of it, they can transmit it sexually. Yeah. They can transmit it through other body fluids, and they're just letting them out. And they're just, I guess, you know what we're doing? We're trusting them that they're responsible adults. They would never do anything like that. They can control themselves 100%. He'll never go and be with his wife sexually. Everything will be perfectly fine. Ebola will never spread. Yeah. So we're dealing with people that obviously are completely out of control. But what's important here is that these doctors think it's all some kind of freaky joke. Like, they don't understand that. They're saying, hey, you know, there's 20 cases. Dr. Group said, his MD friend said 40 cases a day of probable Ebola. And
they're just conspiracy theorists. You know, that's what the Washington Post is telling us.
And whether it's a weekly basis or a monthly basis, whatever, that's unacceptable. And there's not an adequate response. And then some of the other nurses were chiming in. There was a group of people there. They were saying, well, the CDC is doing all they can. You know, they've given us masks. And I said, well, what kind of masks have you been given? Well, we have the standard paper masks and blah, blah, blah. And they've been doing all they can. And some of the doctors were arguing, most of the doctors were agreeing that it's completely out of control and the CDC has no idea what they're doing, or at least inadequately responding for whatever reason. But there was a debate saying, oh, but the CDC is good and everything is kind of okay.
Well, you know, you had these situations where Dr. Frieden was telling everybody, all you need is a mask and gloves or whatever. But then they had pictures of him wearing double gloves, wearing full hazmat suit and everything. And now they have changed their rules as of Monday. And I thought the most interesting rule change that they had was they're telling people use a respirator at all times, either an N95 respirator or a powdered air purifying respirator. So do they think that it's airborne?
Exactly. And now they're saying that, oh, we'll screen some people coming from West Africa. We won't actually shut down travel, but we'll screen some people. It's actually incrementally building. But what's the most concerning? Because when the mainstream media is freaking out about something, it actually calms me down. When the mainstream media is totally going crazy, oh, my God. You know, for example, this shooter had a weapon. Oh, my Lord, you know. Then it calms me down. Okay, it's not a big deal. They're just going after something. But now they're saying, it's almost like they're quelling it. It's like, no, it's okay. Ebola's fine. Nothing's ever going to happen again. Everyone's safe. Everything's okay. When they're just letting people out that could transmit Ebola. They're just flying all over the nation, just letting them go home to their families without monitoring. Everything's fine. And they don't even want to talk about, and we talked about this, I think it was me and you, several weeks ago, about some ways to naturally protect yourself. Well, back then it was kind of new, and I was just getting into it. Some of the researchers I knew, say Jenna Steen and stuff like that, you know, Silver, all these types of things. But now we've actually broken it down further and could go to Harvard research, and we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about how mice were given complete immunity to the virus. Not only mice, but other animal trials as well. Complete immunity to the virus, to the Ebola virus. And instead...
Was it some kind of a GMO miracle drug from Big Pharmaceutical on DARPA?
It was not a Merck vaccine. It was not a Pfizer drug. We're going to talk specifically what it is and how you can produce it naturally in your body if you turn on the right gene sequences. Because it's been, for whatever reason, whether it's environmental factors or not, there is a gene that's been suppressed that produces these compounds that have been found, according to this study, to give mice complete immunity to the virus.
All right, great. We're going to be right back. We're going to have that. And as I mentioned earlier, there's been 6 separate monkey outbreaks in labs, and in some of those, they found antibodies in the humans. So we know that their immune system basically stopped this in its track. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Anthony Gucciardi and your calls.
We're on the